Welcome, and thanks for stopping by. Whether you're watching us on YouTube or listening to our podcast on one of your favorite platforms, I'm glad you're here. At this time, I would like to thank our partners and sponsors for their dedication to helping the show to grow. We cannot do what we do without their help. Hey, everybody, you reached the Millennium Beat with your host, Kevin James. I am so glad you're here for this topic show. Today, we're going to be talking about reaching other cultures other than our own. I have my Spanish host, Nelson Melendez, here in the studio. Nelson, thanks for joining me.
Buenas, señor.
Oh, God, I can see that an Irishman trying to speak Spanish. See, that's what happens. I want to learn other cultures, but I have to learn the language. So that's a good thing that we're talking about other cultures today. So stay tuned, everybody, for this short little topic show. And if you have any questions or anything we didn't discuss or any questions on what we discuss in the comments of the YouTube video, please leave them and I will respond to them. So,
and if you say it in Spanish, he'll give it to me.
And right, I'll have to have Google, the AI, translate it for me and stuff. And because we talked about this on the other topic shows, it's like I know very little Spanish. So, but the culture of today, I mean, I am white. I come from Ireland. My grandparents were from Ireland. My other grandparents were from Canadians.
Okay, that was a hard one.
Yeah, I know, that was hard. I always joke, and I said this, and then I feel bad, and I asked Canadians for forgiveness. I didn't like y'all. Because
No, we're going there now.
We're going. See, this is dealing with cultures. You have to get over the hang-ups. And I didn't really like the culture of the Canadians. And I found out, unfortunately, I've already turned off half my listeners from Canada. I found out that I am Canadian. I am Irish, Canadian, French. French, Canada, and also I am Indian of some sort. I don't know what tribe or anything like that, but
you're not wearing your feathers.
I'm not wearing my feathers. My grandfather's nickname was Blackie.
Really?
He was very dark skinned.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they called him Blackie. I'm sure today that probably wouldn't fly politically correct.
Politically correct.
No. So, but that was his nickname. I don't really remember him too much because that was my second grandfather because he got divorced from my grandmother, and then I remember, Papa, like Pepe Burgo, I think it was his name, and there was Pepe Lamro. Lamro was the first one, and he was the one that was nicknamed Blackie.
Oh, okay.
And from the people he worked for, but that was many, many moons ago.
Oh, and, you're talking like an Indian.
Yeah, many, many moons ago, and I really don't remember.
You're connected with your culture.
Culture-wise, and I didn't set our timer, but we'll set it now. So
we'll forgive you.
We'll forgive me.
Just like the Canadians.
Yeah, I know. So the Canadians, please, I ask you for forgiveness. I would like to know, I want to do an ancestral search, find out a little bit more where I'm from in Canada. I know I'm from, my grandparents in Ireland were from County Mayo. That's all I know. So it's culture, and we're not going to get into that. But a lot of times in today's society, people don't really care about where they came from.
Yeah.
It's amazing those things like Ancestry.com and other things are popular. Maybe there are a few people out there that want to know culture, but if you're gonna minister and you're in the Christian world and you want to deal with the culture, you got to know a little bit about, if you're white and you're dealing with a black neighborhood, or if you're dealing with people from South Korea, North Korea, Taiwan, Japan, Africa, all different places. There's all different kinds of cultures. If you're from Puerto Rico or Spain, we're not all called to every single culture, but there is some cultures that we are called to. Spanish is very popular now in the United States. Like this afternoon or this evening, I will be, there's a guy named Chris. I can't pronounce his last name. It starts with an F. And he's like a Reinhard Bunke for Nicaragua. Not Nicaragua. I don't know where he is. I don't really know exactly the details on his ministry, but he's big. But he's doing that church and that Spanish church. And I don't know how. Do you know how big that church is?
It's not a big church, but it's like Identity.
Okay, it's about 50 or 60 people.
Yeah.
Type of building. I guess I heard they own the whole strip mall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So
strip mall.
I wish we would do that. I wish we owned the strip mall because we could grow, because we need that to grow, and then we could rent out the other stores. Yeah. That's a great business move. It's own the store and then a Rojanda restaurants there. And that's where I know, because I remember seeing the church, because I remember going by it and seeing people going into it. So, but my point is I'm going to be in a culture that I'm not used to being in. I don't speak Spanish.
They do have translators.
Well, in this case, I think Chris is the guy who's preaching. He's going to be speaking in English, and then he's going to have a Spanish translator. So I will understand mostly what, compared to listening to the other way, where you have a Spanish person and then an English translator. It's English and then speaking in the Spanish. So I will understand it. Again, it's a different culture. And it's a different group of people that I'm not used to being around all the time. We here at Identity Church, where my studio and my office is we lease out to Pastor Alex. He uses it 1 or 2 days a week. Yeah, he uses it. So we're Spanish is.
You mean Tulio?
Is it Tulio?
Tulio.
Or it's not Alex?
No, it's not Alex.
Oh, okay. It's Tulio. So, okay. I met the guy. I don't know their names. Yeah. I'm bad with names.
No, but you met Pastor Alex.
I did. Yes. He's the one that we did an interview with.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the one that we did it. Tulio is the one. I did tell him, speaking of that, I did tell him that you need to connect with him. And he said, yeah. And we're going to do a show. So you need to reach out to him and then we'll do a show. So, but my point is this, I'm going to be, I love to go into, seeing a different culture. I might not understand everything, but the spirit's still the same.
There you go.
And so we're dealing with cultures. You got to deal with cultures that you felt the Lord is leading you to. Yeah. Obviously, if you're white and you're not led to go deal with like a Spanish church, then don't. Yeah. Or a black church, or an Asian or Puerto Rican. I don't. Puerto Rican is more Spanish, but as we know,
there's so many dialects.
There's so many. It's like English. There's in America. There's so many dialects of English. You could be from West Virginia. I did an interview with a guy from West Virginia, and I go, "You don't sound like the girl that I met from West Virginia," because I needed an interpreter when she spoke. Yeah, him I can understand.
Yeah,
and then it's like some people like Karen Simmons. Who goes to Identity is she has her New York accent will pop out, and you're from Jersey.
I'm from Jersey.
Yeah, so and that we're not talking about white, black, brown, green, blue culture difference. We're talking about whether you're from Brooklyn or like I did an interview with a girl who had that New York accent, and she was from LI. That's what she called it, LI. Long Island.
Really?
The big LI.
Yeah, the big LI.
It's like LA, it's like, so there's not just color culture. Mm-hmm. There is language culture. It's like somebody from Brooklyn compared to Long Island, or what do they call what are those where those rich people live on the beach? I can't remember up near Connecticut and stuff like that. I don't know.
Oh, you're talking about Maine?
No. What is? It's like Maine. You just can't get there from here.
No.
And it's funny. They do say that. I was driving buses, and I stopped on the side of the road, and I went to the guy who was out like mowing his lawn. I said, "Sir, I need to get over there." And he looks at me, shakes his head, says, "Sorry, you just can't get there from here." So it was a real man, and everybody has their words. Yeah. We talked about this in many discussions in culture. If you're from Canada, everything's A. Mm-hmm. You know, we learned in New England, they don't like any word that ends with an R. They like to get rid of it.
Yes.
Like it's not a car,
Yeah.
it's a car.
Yeah.
You know, so and any word that ends with an A, they feel it's lonely, so they take the R from the car and they put it on Regina.
Yeah.
So it's Regina.
Yeah.
You know, I mean. So it's weird, and then there's also a lot of Southern things. I mean, even singing wise, there's this band that I've been falling in love with. It's bluegrass, and you think I would hate bluegrass because I hate country music, old twangy country. Let me clarify that. And I hate even the Gaithers and all that kind of music. It just drives me nuts. I can't stand it. But they're bluegrass, and I love them. And they have, let me see, 1, 2, 3 daughters and a boy that sing. And the youngest girl, which probably just graduated college, so she's probably somewhere around early 20s. And when she sings, she has that kind of twangy. But the other two don't. And I could listen to the oldest girl, Katie, forever. She just has a voice. All it reminds me of is when David played the harp for Saul, it would calm him down and the demons would leave.
Yeah.
So when Katie is a demon.
The same way she sings, the demons.
You might say that. I don't. All I know is just
brings
there's
peace.
just peace. It's just her voice is, and it's so funny. I'm trying to guess how old she is. I mean, I could tell by videos and words that she said. I know she's in her 30s because she talked about turning 30 and things that pop now that never popped, and when the video aired or originally air date and stuff like that. So she's probably 31, 32 years old, and she's not married, but. She has now, because of the pandemic, has millions of followers. Yeah. Where they have a P.O. box, which most people do for protection. They don't want to go into their house because they don't want fans going to their house or something like that. So, so basically they got a P.O. box, and her brother gets the stuff. And, before there was only a little bit of mail. Now he has boxes of chocolate and candy and cards, all for Katie. And and the ironic thing is, if you go to the website and they have frequently asked questions, one of the questions is, will Katie, will you marry me? And you hit the drop down, it says no.
Wisdom.
So I mean, and she wrote one of the songs is like something called California. And that's a good song. And then later on, she said, "Oh, it's a sad song." And so basically, it sounds like she was in a very deep relationship when she wrote that song, and it was ended,
It was her heart. She was
and she's giving away a little bit of her, so she's probably gone through some stuff, and so she's very cautious, which is good. She's very wise, very strong Christian family. The father is ex-military. The mother plays the cello or the bass. She also plays the trumpet. And they're all well talented. All the kids play not bongos.
Drums.
No, there was no drums in this thing. It's the banjo, the violin, or what do they call it in the South? Not the violin. They call it they call it something. All you listening or yelling at, hey, put it down in the comments. What it's called. It's a fiddle. It's a fiddle, and then the mandolin or whatever they call it, and then there's a bogo or whatever. It's like a guitar that he plays, and he's the only one that's not a Peterson family. He's another family that did tours for many years, and he's a very good, talented singer and player. So my point was, I fell in love with that culture. And they're out in Branson, Missouri. So if you're ever out in Branson, look up the Peterson family. They play a couple days a week at the Little Opera Theater or something like that. So and then they go on tour, and they're getting ready to go to Ireland, Germany, and different places like that. So I've talked about them in the last couple interviews I did with people and stuff like that. But again, it's culture. It's different. They were West Virginia. Blue Ridge Mountains, now they live in Branson. And I guess they've been living in Branson for maybe 10 years. They've been around for years, and I just got to know them over the last few months, actually. And Rusty and Belinda Owens. Yes, they're good friends of mine. I've interviewed them. They're on the board for Identity Church, the board of 3. And I know them quite well, so they're good friends other than just speakers. Right. So I asked Belinda, I says, "You ever heard of the Petersons?" He goes, "I've heard the name, but I don't know them personally." I go, "Shucks. You know, I said maybe
Oh, you wanted to hook up with them.
I wanted them to get. I mean, because you know, if you're a Patreon, they get some barbecues and you can meet them and greet and stuff like that. But I thought it would be nice if I could get some personal, you know, introduction. You know, because they're from Branson. You know, now there's another girl named Art Hart as her name, and I did an interview with her, and she used to be the pastor of the Glory Barn, which was now Rusty and Belinda. So they might know them personally, but I haven't asked her that yet. And then there's another couple that used to go here, and then they moved to Branson. That you know, so there's a bunch of people I know in Branson.
Yeah,
and I do definitely plan on once I get the coach, the Millennium Bus, that I will.
You will wind up.
I will wind up there in Branson and spend some time and get to see them. I'll probably plan it during a Patreon, you know, meet and greet type of thing, so they won't be able, you know. But you never know. They got people coming from all around. They're world famous now.
Yeah.
And
well, if they're going to Ireland and they're going to all these places, they're well.
And they do a lot of YouTube videos and they'll do concerts and stuff like that. And it said every one of them is Katie Ellen, I think, and I can't remember the youngest. I'm sorry if they ever listen to these podcasts. I can't remember her name. I know she just graduated college. Katie's been out for a while. Katie had a cooking show, and it's funny watching her cook. She did a good job, and she wrote a song. And I talked about it in my last interview with somebody from Pennsylvania. It's called the Ring Song, or that's what they call it. But it's about why there's not a ring on my little finger, you know, type of thing. It's a cute little thing, you know. She wrote that. Again, she wrote from personal experience. You know, and you know, somebody that's getting in their 30s and you know, and probably getting into their mid 30s now, and you know, you always wonder why you haven't got married yet. So, but as a Christian, you know, we don't know. But God has a plan and a purpose, and so I wish her well and pray that you know her husband's being prepared for her right now. You know, and I always look at it this way. This is my theory dealing with culture. I believe if you're 13, 14, 20, 30, 40, if God has put you in my life, especially if it's a female, if God has put you in my life and it's not to date you or marry you, it is for a purpose for me to intercede and pray for you. So I don't know. I mean, whatever, whether it's her or anybody else, you know, you're there. I'm your guardian angel in a sense. You know,
you're ministering to their culture.
Right.
You are, because you're interceding on their behalf.
Yeah.
God wants us to be interceders for others. If that's a word, interceders.
Interceders, yeah.
That was like the word you used.
I know. I used that. I created. We're going to create. It's going to be the TMB dictionary. We're going to have a TBN. Yeah, we're interceders. And I believe, especially with females, you know, whatever age they are at, you know, if they're too young to date or they're too old to date, you know, then I said, okay, God, you put them in there because you want me to intercede. And I says, it's like Katie. I say, Lord, I pray for Katie right now that you prepare her for her husband, your husband for her. You know, you are setting things in motion. You're protecting her heart. You're protecting his heart. You're keeping him pure. And ready for that day, and whoever it will be, you know. And then sometimes you say, "I wish it was me," but you know, hey, I mean, and then I always, you know, some people say smitten or something like that. It's like Katie, there's something about her that are drawn. I mean, you know, there's some things I'm thinking I wouldn't want, you know, to say, not in a negative sense, but it's just like, you know, but there's something about her. There's a personality, this smile on her face. Those things are very important, you know, to people, and, you know, and positives, and, you know, and stuff like that, you know, so, but that's the way we reach other people. Again, dealing like with the Melanin Bead. I mean, my goal is to travel and meet all different kinds of cultures, and
you will,
and you will. And one of the things I was thinking about the other day, and it's not an egotistical thing, is like, you know, getting people to be on the show is, you know, sometimes it seems like it's hard, but I said, but the Lord says, you know, one day you're going to have to not turn people away, but you're going to have to tell them like, okay, I can book you 3 months from now. There's going to be so many people that I'm going to have a show that I'm editing 1 or 2 times a week. And because I don't want to get like, I've got a year's worth of shows edited. Because then you're on a show today, like the show that we're doing today says, July of 2025 will air.
Yeah.
No, it's just like a message from a church.
Yeah.
You want it to be fresh,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a month or two is the most. I really want to get 4 to 8 shows ahead, because then it's pretty well fresh. I mean, I did. When I stopped for a year and a half on the Millennium Beat podcast, I started back up in January 1st, but I had started recording in July. So I went July all the way to January. So I had shows already recorded from January 1st, New Year's Day, actually, with a woman that it was an author. Unfortunately, had passed away before the first show. Not the first show I did with her, but the first show I redid the New Earrings, passed away. So I had shows from January, February, March, and I don't know if it was just the beginning of April, the end of April, already recorded, and then I ran out of shows, and then I took a month off, and then I'm back again, and I've been doing it for a month, and I got a month worth of shows, and and I got more people that want to be on the show. I just haven't got it. But again, it's cultures. I mean, I'm dealing with Christians, non-Christians. I did with a guy who did memories. Who, like memorial service type of memories, pets, kind of stuff. I did one the other day with a guy who was a real estate agent. And I got somebody that's supposed to be heavy into stocks, and then I did mental health. A guy that was born a premature baby and, wasn't held, and I did a story, telling with him. And then they're in different parts of the country. One was in Utah. One was in West Virginia. One was in
different cultures.
And then there was one
in America.
And then there was another one that was actually will be airing this Sunday. By the time you get this podcast hearing it, it will be past. It will be already done. Named Jeff, not Jeff, excuse me. I did Jeff last week, Jeff K. But this one's James Early, and he has a podcast called The Bible Speaks to You, which is one of the podcasts, believe it or not, I listen to. And he just did his 200th episode in August 8th, I think, or August 6th. So, and he will air this weekend, coming up on the recording date. But when you listen to it, it will be in the past. So, but my point is cultures that I'll be dealing with throughout on the road, and we do different things. I can tell this from knowing some black people, their culture, they do things a little differently than me as a white person does. And there's nothing racist about it. It's just that we are different cultures. It's like
we're raised differently.
Yes.
Family traditions are different.
Give you an example. I'm a studier of body language. Like if your hands are folded, it's like you're closed off. You're not really listening. You're not listening. And then if you're sitting forward on the chair, my computer cameraman was following me. So if I moved it, it didn't follow me. It stopped. But my point was this, and I have no clue what my point was. So I forgot.
You're talking about culture.
Yeah, I would talk. Oh, yes, I know what it was. Okay. Body language. That's what it was. And my light's flashing. We're under strobe lights.
Okay, disco.
It's disco, and my timer went off. So, hopefully it does. It's weird how it does that when it goes to be like batteries dying. It goes to a strobe light, which is weird. I guess it's like a warning light that it tells you like I'm dying. Yeah. So, but it shut off, which is good because it would have been annoying for the next 5 minutes having it let it go. But this is my point with body language and stuff like that. There was this girl, and then you might know this, being dealing with the Spanish culture and stuff. She was taught never to really look at the eyes of an adult. Right. It's disrespectful. Exactly. But in America, when we talk, it's like when I'm talking to the camera, it is actually like right now I'm looking into Tiny's eyes. Yeah. So that way it looks like I'm looking into yours. But I'm over here, I'm talking to Nelson, which is over to my left. So, and I'm looking at your face. I might not be staring right into your eyes, but I'm, so the culture, my culture is to do that. It's respectful. Yes. That her culture, but the response of the teacher was she was guilty because she wasn't looking here. She didn't really look in his eyes. But her culture was disrespectful. Yeah. So we have to understand culture in that sense. Like,
that's where, like we were talking earlier, we got to get to know the person.
Right. And we got to get to know the culture. Yes. Another culture thing is you're standing in line and all of a sudden somebody comes in, cuts in. Mm-hmm. Well, that culture might do that, where our culture or my culture would, hey, that's rude. Get back there, get back to the back of the end line.
Yeah.
But so you're going to know the culture. You're going to know some of what's the do's and the don'ts, what's insulting, what isn't. If you watch sci-fi like Star Trek and how people got insulted because they did something, and to them and their culture,
that's a good example.
That was normal.
Yeah.
But to them, it was an insult. So a war almost broke out because they were insulted. Yes. And it was just like, said, thank you, something simple like that.
Yeah.
So we're reaching out to other people, other cultures other than that. If you're going to deal with a certain culture, like if you're going to be a missionary for Ecuador or Guatemala or El Salvador or something, you got to really do a little research on, find out what their culture's like.
Yes. And what to say and what not to say.
And certain words, there's like some translation words. If you said something in English, give you an example. Remember years ago, they used to have a Chevy Nova that came out? Well, in Spanish, Nova means no good.
It's no good. It doesn't go.
It doesn't go. Yeah. So that car did not do very well in a Spanish culture.
Or in China.
Or in China.
Why
that?
Because they got the definition of the car.
Did they?
It means don't go, so they didn't buy it over there.
Right.
Even though it was a muscle car.
Right.
With they used it for racing.
Yeah.
They never used it as
so the terminology in America, it was a Chevy Nova.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Because,
But what is a Nova? A Nova is a shooting star.
Okay.
Which goes fast.
Right. So in our culture, it was fast. But in the Spanish culture, it was no good.
No good.
Yeah.
Or in the Chinese culture.
In the Chinese culture. So knowing the culture that you're dealing with outside of your own. Yes. So do a little research. If you're going to be ministering outside of your own culture, know the difference. If it's black, white, Chinese, Japanese, or whatever, or Spanish, got to know a little bit about their culture.
And in America, we have so many Spanish different cultures.
Right.
So many countries here.
Oh, yeah.
That you have to be very careful.
Yeah.
Very careful. Yeah.
And as I said, again, another culture, I think it might be the Spanish. If I'm talking to you, I'm like right in your face. And it's like I can smell your breath. And to me, as an American, English American, white English American, to me, I go, whoa, back off, dude. Yeah, you're like ready to fight.
Yeah, you're in my space.
You're in my space.
Too personal.
Where Spanish-wise, it is it's a lot different because that's their culture.
Yes.
They get into that, in your face type of thing. So, but where we've been talking, this show has been a little bit funny. I didn't know what we were going to talk about. It seems like we talked about a lot of stuff. So, but we've been reaching out to other cultures and understanding our own culture and understanding their culture, so we can reach out to them. So that was our topic for today. I'm glad you guys joined us. Nelson, thank you for being my co-host.
You're very welcome.
All right, everybody else, you've been listening to the Millennium Beat. Stay tuned next week for some interviews or some more topic shows. We'll know, and then you'll know. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next week. God bless. This has been a Millennium Beat LLC production. Views and opinions of the guest are not always the views and opinions of the Millennium Beat LLC. Check us out on social media, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and TikTok at The Millennium Beat, or on Twitter at Millennium_Beat. If you would like to partner with us to reach the world, go to our website for more information. You can go to themillenniumbeat.com or tmb2000.net. Your financial support is greatly appreciated. We couldn't do all we do without your support. The Millennium Beat just updated our website from the ground up. Check it out at themillenniumbeat.com, or you can get there by using millenniumbeat.com or tmb2000.net, where you'll be redirected to the millenniumbeat.com's homepage. I want to thank Mass Inbound for their awesome work on our website. If you're looking for somebody to build your site, I recommend them. You can reach them at massinbound.com. That is MASSINBOUND.com.
These are some of the things that you can find on our website. Homepage, you can watch our latest YouTube video or listen to our audio podcast. Also listed are some of the platforms our audio podcast is on. You'll find out when the next podcast will air and who the guest will be. On the top right, you will find 2 red buttons, Learn How to Help and Become a Guest. Under Learn How to Help, you can become a partner, sponsor, contributor, or contribute to the future Millennium Bus. You can give one-time or monthly recurring. The choice is yours. The other button is Be a Guest. Click it, go to the form, and fill it out, and we will get back to you. We would love to hear your story. Click the About Us drop-down where you'll find stats, where we are reaching people, and to find more information on our sponsors. Click on the podcast drop-down, then click on the Calendar tab where it will tell you when the shows will air and who will be on them. Or if you need to know about any meetups of the Millennium Beat staff, partners, or listeners. Also, there might be on the calendar an event at which the Millennium Beat staff will be at. Click the Guest tab for all previous guests, links to their website, social media pages, and any store they might have. Click the Forms drop-down. There you'll find a release, Be a Guest, or Become a Sponsor form.